Hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Hope you're all having a fantastic Friday afternoon. Hope you've all had a good day. Hope you've all had a good week. And I hope you're all looking forward to this first brand new weekend in December 2023 this year. First of all, do me a massive favour for me. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. Remember to always know to put notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the last few remaining weeks and last few remaining days in 2023, in December this year, on United Red Devils 20 for more Fortnite, Rocket League, Fall Guys, F1 23, more previews, more match reactions, and much more brand new stuff planned for the last few remaining weeks and the last few remaining days in this year, in 2023, in December, with Christmas Day now very, very much upon all of us. Only 24 days remaining. Good afternoon to all you legends, all you legendary people, and welcome to your Premier League preview between Newcastle United and Manchester United on match day 14 of the 23-24 Premier League season at St. James's Park, 8 o'clock evening away kickoff on a cold, blistery Saturday night. And obviously after what happened against Galatasaray on Wednesday night, I'm really hoping Manchester United can put that behind them on Saturday, and hopefully we can see some kind of response and see some kind of positive outcome for Manchester United away against Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle this season, again, are having one of those memorable seasons where they are competing for top four. They are competing yet again for Champions League football, and some of the football they are playing this season has been very good. Like their last outcome against Chelsea was a 4-1 home win at St. James's Park, and it was a very convincing and very pleasing Newcastle performance against a Chelsea side that, lost Reece James for a red card, and obviously bad defensive woes from Chelsea's back four from Thiago Silva obviously let Newcastle in, and obviously Newcastle managed to put 4 goals past Chelsea. And at the moment, Eddie Howe, for me, is getting better and better as a Newcastle manager. I think for me, he has done a fantastic job with the players he's got. He's got a fantastic squad with the players he's accomplished. And for me, the backing he's had of the owners he's got, Newcastle are in the position that they are in today. They are playing some very good, attractive football. Their players have been remarkable with the goals they are scoring. And for me, obviously, their Champions League campaign hasn't been the one that, Newcastle fans would have hoped for, especially after they were robbed against PSG on Tuesday night, which was very unfortunate for Newcastle, where a handball decision was given against them when it's clearly not even handball. And I think for me, Newcastle are going to be seeking revenge Saturday and know that that result has basically screwed up their Champions League campaign. And I think for me, Newcastle have really struggled to maintain European success. And I think, at the end of the day, Newcastle for me are still going to be a good global team. I think for me, Newcastle are still going to have a very strong end to this season. And I think for me, they're not going to get out their group. They're going to probably end up in the Europa League at best, or maybe they might even end up out of Europe. But I think in the end, Newcastle United are going to be a very tough match for Manchester United. Like, it is not going to be an easy away game against Newcastle on Saturday. It is going to be extremely tough for Newcastle to win this, to beat. It's going to be a difficult game for Manchester United to win. I'm not expecting an easy result. It is going to be a tough outcome for Manchester United and Newcastle. And for me, it is going to be non-stop attacking football from both ends from both teams. So I think Man United have really got a tough outcome here. I think Manchester United need to aim to win this game. And I think for me, we need 3 points. Like after what we saw Wednesday night, I want to see some kind of response, because after you let the 2-goal lead slip twice, I'm hoping history isn't going to repeat itself Saturday, because Newcastle do score a lot of goals. Newcastle do play some good football, and they've got dangerous players that can influence a lot of damage onto the opposition. I mean, you look at the threats, Anthony Gordon and Isaac, Livramento, Anthony Gordon. I mean, the squad that Eddie Howe is assembling at Newcastle, it's absolutely phenomenal. Like, if I was a Newcastle manager, I would be over the moon with the squad I've got, with the players that team is starting to assemble. I think, it's going to be a tough atmosphere. You look at the confidence, you look at the mentality, you look at the rebuild that Newcastle are going in, you look at the atmosphere from the fans and the supporters of Newcastle United now, and you look at the way they're playing, and you look at the way their home record is getting better and better. And Newcastle will only get better. Like, they are still going to get a lot stronger under this manager. And I think Eddie Howe eventually should be considered for the England job. Like, I think if Gareth Southgate was to fuck up badly in Euro 2024 next year, I honestly do think Eddie Howe is in the shouting to become the next England manager. And I think, it would be too good of an opportunity for, Eddie Howe to turn down. And I do believe, in my view and in my opinion, if the job offer does come to Eddie Howe, I think he will take it, because I think obviously he's done everything he can at Newcastle. He can only take them so far. But I think, Manchester United are going to feel the confidence that we are scoring goals again. It's just we're not keeping enough clean sheets. And I think that's the big problem heading into Saturday, that Man United are playing some good football. The attacking football and attacking free flow and flair football seems to have been revived. And we are scoring good goals. We have scored some absolute scorchers in our last 2 games through Garnacho and Fernandes. And I think, for me, at the end of the day, they are going to probably be Manchester United's 2 biggest threats for the game on Saturday going forward. And I think, for me, we can win this game. Like, we can win. I am feeling confident we can get a result. I am feeling positive that Man United are going to get a good outcome. It just depends on how well we play, because if we can go 2-0 up like we did against Galatasaray inside 20 minutes, then Man United are going to have a field day. But it's just the way we absolutely, totally collapsed after we conceded the first goal. And I think that's a big issue heading into Saturday, that Manchester United really have got to keep a clean sheet. We can't afford to let Newcastle get comfortable, because if you're heading into 0-0 at half time, I do believe Man United will struggle in the second half to try and find that winning, clinching goal. But I do believe Man United have got it in them now. I do believe that the confidence is back. I do believe that Erik ten Hag is turning the sinking ship around. And I do believe now that the confidence is there in those players. I do believe Man United are on the up. I do believe that they are turning things around now. And I'm confident headed into Saturday. I mean, I think a lot of teams think that Newcastle are unbeatable. And I think a lot of teams fear that Newcastle are going to do a lot of damage. But, obviously Chelsea saw it last weekend. I don't think Man United are going to struggle as much as Chelsea, because obviously I think Chelsea have got too many players, been bought by too many separate managers, and you've got an owner here that is just splashing the cash about when things start going wrong at Chelsea. And when you buy too many players, which don't fit into the system with the type of football Mauricio Pochettino is looking for, that was the outcome last weekend. Like, as soon as you lost St.James, that apparently is a great Chelsea captain and a great Chelsea leader, Chelsea absolutely crumbled. And that is why Newcastle pounced on the vulnerability. Like Thiago Silva, like, how many bad mistakes did he make last weekend for Chelsea? I mean, you've got that centre-back for the rest of the season, and you saw the mistakes that he made against Newcastle. No wonder Newcastle scored the goals they did, because Newcastle smelled fear. Newcastle smelled blood, and they went for it and went for the jugular. You don't see any other team more than Newcastle going for it more than the last few weeks, and I'm impressed. Like, I am really impressed, but I do think it's going to be a different game. I don't think Newcastle are going to have their own way. I don't think Newcastle are going to dominate this game. I think Man United will be a bit more of a difficult opposition, because I think Ten Hag is a much better manager than Pochettino. He's got a much better squad, a much better players. And I think, for me, at the end of the day, I think Man United will still get a result. I really think we will. I don't fear Newcastle. Like, there's a lot of people that, rate Newcastle. There's a lot of players and a lot of fans, a lot of pundits that think Newcastle are back. Like, yeah, okay, to an extent they are. Like, they're back in the Champions League. They're back in European football. They're competing for top 4 again. But at the end of the day, let's be realistic here, that they have been lucky with some of the results they had. I think if St.James doesn't get sent off and Thiago Silva doesn't make the mistakes that he did for Chelsea, would have Chelsea got hammered 4-1? I mean, you also look at the Newcastle-Arsenal result. Look at the goal that Newcastle got awarded. That is still very debatable topic, that goal shouldn't have stood. Arsenal could have won that game. Arsenal could have got a point. They could have got a draw. And Newcastle came out of all 3 points and they beat Arsenal at St. James's Park. Like, I think Newcastle have been lucky. And I think, for me, at the end of the day, like, they did struggle away to Bournemouth. Like, they shouldn't be losing to teams like Bournemouth. Like, you look at the injuries Newcastle have got. They have got so many big first-team players out injured. And they're in the same situation as Manchester United. Like, you look at the injuries we've got, Newcastle are going through exactly the same situation as what we are. And so are Real Madrid. Like, you look at the injuries some clubs are now facing. These injuries seem to be getting a lot worse for certain players and certain clubs. And, Eddie Howe, to credit to him, has had to use half his youth academy in his last few matches to try and fulfill a squad because he simply hasn't had the players available to him that Eddie Howe have probably been looking for. Like, if Newcastle, had to play a full-strength squad against PSG, they had to go full strength, but that was still without key missing number one players in the first team. And Newcastle, like I said, they should have beat PSG. They've been robbed of a win. They've been robbed of a potential result to getting through to the knockouts. And Newcastle now are having to rely on their last group stage game to get through. And I feel sorry for Newcastle fans because they made all that effort way out to France, into Paris, to play PSG. And when you go 1-0 up for a very good goal from Isaac, you're expecting Newcastle to hold on. But the influential PSG attack was absolutely hammering that Newcastle back four. And I think Newcastle defensively are very, very woeful. Like, the goal they conceded is unfair. The goal they shouldn't have been put past them, shouldn't have counted. That penalty is not a penalty. That Mbappe goal is completely invalid. So Newcastle, for me, look, you look at the amount of injuries they've got. I think Man United are going to look at this like, well, we've got injuries, we've got woeful problems, and we are still conceding goals. Newcastle conceding goals. I mean, for me, in the second half, PSG were much the better team because Newcastle had the 1-0 lead at half-time. They parked the bus in the second half and tried to break PSG on the counter-attack. And unfortunately, it was that all second half. They were just letting PSG attack them. And I think for me, that is why Newcastle didn't win that game, because they couldn't get out their own area. And the threat of Mbappe and Dembele, Newcastle could not handle it. Like, you saw the chances that Mbappe had against that Newcastle back four. He could have had 4 or 5 goals. And I think for me, Man United need to target that, because if you can concede that many chances through Mbappe, then Manchester United have got players that can probably do a lot more damage. They can probably, run at that Newcastle back four a bit more and target that vulnerability, which is clearly there to the naked eye. It's clearly there to see that Newcastle defensively, I don't think are that great. Like, they are conceding a lot of goals. Like, they've lost Botman. Lascelles has had to come back in his replacements. Fabian Schär, Callum Wilson. There are so many Newcastle players out at the moment that Newcastle are having to use their youth to make up a squad because they don't have the options available to them to bring off the bench. And they even have to chuck in some first-team youth academy players into the starting lineup, because Newcastle at the moment, I think, are going to be shattered for Saturday. I do fully expect Man United to take full advantage, because if you're having to use half your youth academy to put players into your starting lineup against PSG, and Manchester United are going to look at that thinking, well, there's going to be a lack of experience, there's going to be a lack of quality there, and it's going to be in different balances of play that Man United can target, because these Newcastle youngsters, they're not used to playing Champions League football. They're not used to playing Premier League football. And I think for me, at the end of the day, when you've got PSG and then Manchester United in your next two, and you've had Nuke and Chelsea the week before that, then Newcastle are probably going to be on their knees Saturday, because they're going to be tired, they're going to be fatigued, and they're going to be, quite frankly, worried that the more injuries Newcastle get, the worse situation it can be. But trying to get a result out of St. James's Park now is not easy. I mean, since the Saudi Arabians took over Newcastle now, you look at the atmosphere at St. James's Park, it is completely different to the Mike Ashley days. Like, the atmosphere at St. James's now is absolutely electric. And I do fully expect that the Newcastle fans will get behind their team. They probably think we can get a result against Manchester United. They're probably feeling confident. Well, if Manchester United are blowing 2-goal leads twice in one match, then look what we could do to them. And they've got a very much point to be considered there, because you shouldn't be throwing 2-goal leads away in one match. That's not fucking good enough. And I think Man United need to cut those errors out. We need to get rid of those mistakes. We need to start keeping a bit more of a clean sheet. But at the moment, with the way Man United are defensively and vulnerability, that we just don't keep our heads up when we concede a goal, it wouldn't surprise me again if we do concede a goal Saturday, the heads will drop. I don't want that to happen, but I think Ten Hag realises that, there's certain players in the team, again, that just aren't capable of finding a result. And I think that is why we didn't win Wednesday. The players do not respond well when they go a goal behind. They don't respond when we concede a goal. And I don't know why we're not responding. And I think for me, that's a big, big worry. Like, you're not just conceding a 2-goal lead once, you're conceding it twice. And when you concede goals, those players look at times at 6s and 7s. They don't seem to know how to respond when we start conceding goals. And that's a big worry for Ten Hag, because he's got to cut that out, because we need to start picking up points. Like, our Champions League campaign may be in absolute tatters, and I get that. Our Champions League campaign is not going to be surviving for very much longer. But Man United, they don't seem to respond well at all to when anything bad goes wrong. And I don't know why they don't, because at the end of the day, these are footballer professionals. Like, they're professional footballers, and they can't respond to the attacking threat of Newcastle. And and Galatasaray, and I think it's going to be a big worry. That's going to be my biggest worry Saturday, that if we concede a goal and we play badly, we're going to get hammered. But I think for me, Newcastle from Tuesday are going to be, there's an extra day rest there as well, because Newcastle played on the Tuesday, we played on the Wednesday. And I think for me, again, we played it in a much earlier kickoff. So Newcastle are going to have a lot more rest and a lot more preparation and a lot more, togetherness on Saturday, because Man United played a day extra. It was a lot more earlier kickoff. And obviously you're travelling back from Turkey, which is an absolute nightmare to travel back from. Man United are going to be, there's going to be tiredness in the legs. There's going to be fatigue. There's going to be the awareness of we can't overstep it Saturday. But if United want to keep pace with top 4 and they want to chase down everyone around them, you have to go to away teams like Newcastle and get the points, because if you don't win your away games, you're basically relying on your home record. And I think for me at the moment, can I trust United to get the win Saturday? And I think that's the biggest question I've got to ask myself. Can I trust Manchester United to win Saturday after what I saw on Wednesday? I'm not sure, because, when you're 2-0 up inside 18 minutes, you're expecting Man United to absolutely rip the opposition apart. And then when you concede 1 goal, and then you concede another, and then you get a goal back to restore the 2-goal lead, and then you concede again, and then you concede again. No wonder those players look absolutely out of ideas. But we were the better team. Like, at the end of the day, Galatasaray did not expect to be 2-0 down inside 18 minutes. And I think for me, they've taken 4 points off Manchester United in the Champions League group stage. They've taken 4 points off Manchester United. Something that no one expected. I didn't expect that. If someone would have told me at the start of this Champions League group stage that Galatasaray would take 4 points off us, I wouldn't have believed you. But now I can believe it, because I've seen all of this pattern before. I've seen all of these mistakes happen too many times as a Manchester United fan, that the problems are simply too influential to repair. And I think for me, that is a big question from these players. If you do go a goal down, and to be fair, Newcastle beat us at St. James's Park last season. They beat us 2-0 and played some very, very good football. I didn't watch the away game last season because I was at a concert on that night. We were playing Newcastle, and I'm glad I didn't watch it, because when you lose 2-0, it absolutely ruins your mood when you're on a big night out to do something different that you've not done in years. I just hope we do not see that again on Saturday. I hope we don't, because for me, that is a worry. Yeah, that's a worry for me if we don't turn this around Saturday. And I'm hoping we will see Man United players respond to, the result Wednesday, because obviously the morale is going to be low, the confidence is going to be shattered, and their morale is going to be on the floor again as well. So I just hope United can pick themselves up to go to Newcastle and win. And I do expect Man United to come out with something. I do fully expect Man United to go to Newcastle and win. I believe with the attacking football we're playing and the amount of chances we are starting to create on goal, that Manchester United now, all of a sudden, are now turning things around. But they've got to keep this up, because if you look at our December fixtures, we've got Bayern Munich, we've got Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea. 4 of those games are probably our biggest games of the season by an absolute mile. And if we don't win any of those games, this December month is going to be one hell of a month to forget, because we need to, you look at Aston Villa are keeping up their form in the league. You look at Arsenal, they're now top. Man City and Liverpool are both dropping points. Tottenham have lost their last 3 games in a row. If Man United can win Saturday, I still fully believe, and if you look at the league table as it stands, this is a massively open title race between Newcastle, Villa, Arsenal, City, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Manchester United. I fully believe there are 7 teams in it this season. I fully believe there are 7 teams in it. And if United take full advantage on Saturday and we do beat Newcastle, then Manchester United are still in this. Like, I'm not going to say Champions League football's gone. I thought that weeks ago. But all of a sudden, you are seeing all our rivals drop off points. Man City, Liverpool last weekend drew 1-1. Tottenham lost 3 in a row against Villa. So United are starting to creep up that table. And people say that it is a long way behind Man United getting top 4. But you've got to start feeling confident as a United fan that all your rivals around you are dropping points. And that's a positive. Like, the only team around Manchester United that won last weekend, well, 2 actually, if you put Brighton into the equation, and Villa, were only Aston Villa, Brighton, Newcastle and Arsenal. Man City, Liverpool and Tottenham all didn't win. So I'm hoping that those players are going to look at that league table and they're going to look, right, we've not had the start to this Premier League campaign we wanted. At the start, it was an absolute mess. And for me, they're going to look at it now thinking, right, we take full advantage of our rival slip-ups and we climb ourselves up to that league table, we get ourselves into top 4 and we stay there. Because that is the momentum of Ten Hag's squad at the moment. We are, at the moment, the most informed team in the Premier League. We are the most informed team. We've only lost 1 Premier League game out of our last 6. We've won 5 out of 6 Premier League games in the last 6 games. If they can make that 6 out of 7 on Saturday, then the momentum going forward till Christmas is going to be monumental for Manchester United to put themselves into the equation of turning this Premier League season around. Yes, there are teams we should have beat. Away to Arsenal, away to Spurs, we should have both won those games. We should have beat Man City at home. We should have beat Palace at home. Like, we should have won all the games. If Man United would have done that, look where we could have been. Look where we could have been. But with the squad at the moment and the goals we're scoring, you know, with Garnacho seems to be back in form. Fernandes seems to be back in form. For me, they were Manchester United's 2 best players Wednesday night. I looked at the rest of the squad and I looked at the rest of those players. And for me, Newcastle, if you look at them, the vulnerability is there. And if Newcastle do go a goal behind, Manchester United will take advantage of the situation, because as soon as Galatasaray conceded the first goal, Man United smelt blood, they smelt fear, and they smelt vulnerability. And United went for it. And we haven't seen that yet. We did not see that type of momentum for weeks. And all of a sudden now, maybe the graveyard shift has shifted. Maybe Man United players have got their confidence back. Maybe they realise, look, we need to start turning this around. Like, the injuries will help us once all these players are back fit. It will help. But, you know, Ten Hag is having to go with a lot of the same squad at the moment, because the amount of injuries as well isn't going to help us Saturday. Like, we know we ain't going to have Martinez. We know we ain't going to have Casemiro. We know we haven't got Ahmad. And like I said, when I've read about Malacia this morning, that Malacia has had yet again another bloody setback from his injury and had to require even more surgery. Malacia's out till the new year. Like, that is a big, big blow, that when you're expecting Malacia back for Man United in the next few weeks, and to hear that he's had an absolute nightmare, having to have, you know, another injury occur where the injury has already got, which has required more surgery, it only puts a downer on the squad, because the amount of options we have and haven't got is having to see the same team play every week. Like, you're going to know McTominay and Amrabat are probably going to have to play on Saturday. Kobe Manu will have to be involved. Luke Shaw's going to have to be involved. Reguilon will have to be involved. Varane doesn't seem anywhere near getting himself back in this United starting lineup. And I think for me, he's going to have to come in Saturday, because I looked at Lindelof on Wednesday and I thought how bad Lindelof was defensively. Again, with him and Maguire, it doesn't work. And I think Ten Hag has got to realise now that having Varane back in that team makes Man United better defensively. I don't know why he's not in the squad, but clearly, like I said, there has been a massive, massive falling out between player and manager. And it isn't helping things, because you want to see, United play their best players. But when you've got problems in the dressing room and you've got problems with the players being bigger or better than the manager has got no choice. And clearly he looks at Rafael Varane. He looks the amount of times he's been out injured. I mean, Varane picked up more injuries than bloody Phil Jones. I mean, it's true, though. Like, Real Madrid smelt Man United coming when we wanted Varane. And now looking at it from a bigger point of view, we should have went nowhere near Varane. And look at it now. It's been a bad signing. And for me now, clearly, there is not a future for him in this United back four, because clearly Ten Hag favours Lindelof, he favours Maguire, and he looks at both of them defensively and thinks, do you know what? They're both going to be fine for me. I don't need Varane. They're doing a good enough job. But with the goals you're conceding Wednesday, I completely disagree. You are conceding too many goals. That back four is meant to be doing their job, and they're not doing it. Like I stated this so many times, that back four is so weak. It is so vulnerable at times. The way the opposition pick apart Lindelof and Maguire's game. They target the left backs. They target our right backs. They go for it because they know Man United are vulnerable. They concede goals on the counter-attack, and defensively, when you've got quick players running at Maguire and Lindelof, United get absolutely destroyed because they can't cope with their game style. They can't cope with it, and they simply can't keep up with the pace. And I think for me, this is why Man United are conceding goals. If you had Varane and Martinez available, we'd be fine Saturday. So that's a big, big concern for me. You're knowing Maguire and Lindelof are going to end up having to start on Saturday. I don't want that. I don't think that's right. I don't think Man United really should be having to use Maguire and Lindelof. I just don't think it works. But if Ten Hag is keeping his momentum with them and he's keeping them as their main centre-back partnership, then you've got to go with what the manager thinks. But I think long-term, it's only going to haunt Man United, and it's going to get a lot worse defensively. Like, you look at the goals record we've conceded this season, and BBC Sport and Match Today tweeted this out after the Galatasaray game. Manchester United this season have conceded 33 goals, which we haven't done for years. And it's embarrassing. Like, if you're conceding 33 goals, clearly there are a lot of problems at Manchester United, not just defensively, but the goalkeeping as well. Like, whatever we're doing in training with the goalkeeping, it's got to be turned around, because Onana now has been warned. Any more mistakes, and Bandia's coming in, the backup goalkeeper we bought from Fenerbahce. But does that give you any confidence as a United fan? You're going to go with a backup goalkeeper that has not played one single minute of football for Manchester United all season, and you're going to put him in goal. And that's a big question I think Ten Hag's going to have to make. Like, that is one big decision Ten Hag is going to have to think to himself, what is the beneficial long-term for this club? Because if Onana keeps making the mistakes he made, I mean, I was chatting with a mate last night, and he's another Man United fan, and he said that the 2 goals Onana conceded from the 2 free kicks, that is easy to save. Both of those situations, Onana could have kept the ball out the back of the net. And even the 3rd goal, Onana has been completely left blindsided by the shot and didn't expect that on the Troglou to shoot from where he did inside the United penalty area. It was already too little too late. And Onana's not even got his front post covered. So it's a big problem for Ten Hag, because you've spent 60 million on this goalkeeper that is meant to be the solution. And unfortunately, it's been a nightmare. 33 goals have been put past him. Like, surely the decision making at United that Onana needed to be signed, surely someone should have questioned Ten Hag and said, look, we've got De Gea. And at the moment, David De Gea is still available on a free. And I know David De Gea made mistakes, and I get that. But long term, David De Gea, for me, really should have been kept. And he is still available for there on a free transfer. And if you think about it also, we're going to lose Andre Onana to African Cup of Nations duty in January and February. He's going to go and represent his country. And then you see last night that he's worried that he's going to lose his first team spot as the goalkeeper once he goes on international duty to represent his country at the African Cup of Nations. Well, I think Man United have got to do one thing, and that is go and beg David De Gea to come back. Because if you lose Bandia then to injury, you're left with Tom Heaton. Like, does that give you any confidence heading into Saturday? That, Onana's form is in doubt, and you might have to put a goalkeeper that's not seen 1 minute of football? Do you really want that to happen Saturday? For me, it's a blatant no. I'm sorry. I don't want that to happen. I want my best goalkeeper in goal. I still believe Onana will turn it around, but he's got to cut out his mistakes, because the first free kick, he should have saved. The second free kick, he should have saved. They are such easy saves to make. Like, a school team goalkeeper could have kept both of them out. It's not hard. Like, the game of football is very, very easy if you do your job properly. And at the moment, Onana is struggling. Clearly, there's an issue there. 60 million has been spent on him. Was it really the priority position that needed improving? I think only time will tell, but maybe getting rid of David De Gea was a massive, massive mistake. And I hope that doesn't prove to backfire this weekend. I really hope it doesn't. I think Onana has got to start turning this around. And hopefully he will. Hopefully Onana will be back to his best on Saturday, but he knows the mistakes he made on Wednesday, it might hurt him Saturday, because if any more of those mistakes happen again, he's going to get absolutely crucified. And he will. He'll get absolutely crucified. So I think, I think Ten Hag's going to stick with him because, he spent 60 million. You paid him at Ajax. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does stick with Onana or he does change the goalkeeping. So let's see what happens. I think, the midfield again, we know we ain't got Eriksen. I mean, we're missing Eriksen. There's no doubt about that. Mason Mount, if the rumours are true that they're already looking at replacing him in January, as well as Amrabat. I mean, Man United have really not sorted this midfield out, have they? Like, you've got Casemiro out till the new year. Eriksen ain't going to be back till the end of December, beginning of January. Mason Mount is out for a month, so probably going to be back till January. So you're basically left with McTominay, Amrabat, Fernandes and Kobe Manu. I think Manu's going to have to play Saturday. The way, again, he came on and commanded that midfield and the confidence he's got at such a young age in his ability. I mean, what a bloody player Kobe Manu's going to be. Like, he's absolutely a phenomenal, phenomenal talent. Like, I've not seen a talent like this since Roy Keane was in that United midfield. And I think for me, Kobe Manu possesses all those natural ability and he's gifted because the way he demands the ball, he controls the midfield, he makes passes that no one else can make, he plays through balls that no one else can see. I've not seen that in a young, talented player like this for years. And that says a lot. So I think Kobe Manu is going to have to come in, because clearly on Wednesday, playing Amrabat, McTominay and Fernandes, it didn't work. And again, it backfired and that midfield was very left unbalanced. But maybe Ten Hag sticks with it. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that go in on Amrabat. And I don't get the criticism because, Amrabat for me is better than McTominay. He's better than Mount. At times, he's very much better than Eriksen. And he does control the midfield balance at the CDM role a lot more efficiently. And I think as soon as he went off on Wednesday night, obviously he was carrying a yellow card on him. Honestly, I couldn't believe how badly it went wrong in the midfield because there was simply utterly no balance. And obviously, Kobe Manu did a really good job. I was very impressed again for what he did in that second half. I mean, I've not seen talent like this since Roy Keane, and I think he'll probably start Saturday ahead of Amrabat, or maybe McTominay drops to the bench and maybe you put Kobe Manu next to Fernandes, or you put McTominay at CDM or Amrabat at CDM and you drop McTominay to the bench. So I think Ten Hag's got a decision to make there with the midfield, but I think Man United are a lot more attacking with Kobe Manu in it. And it's going to be, again, another big game because you've played Galatasaray, which is a nightmare anyway. And then you've got Newcastle, which is going to be even more of a nightmare because the Newcastle fans are going to be on those Man United players every single minute of the game. They know the atmosphere that those Newcastle fans create. And they know that if anything goes wrong, United players are going to get crucified for it. So again, for Manchester United, it's another big talking point that do you put a youngster like that in straight into the lineup? I think you've got to now. Because for me, I think McTominay's days are done after what I saw from Kobe Manu Wednesday. I think Amrabat, obviously, it doesn't look like that move's worked out, unfortunately. But I rate him very highly. I think he's one of our best players at the football club. So I can't understand why we are looking to replace him in January. It just makes utterly no sense. I think it's an absolute disgrace the way we're treating Amrabat, like he's not done anything great. I mean, I don't know what people are watching, but he's been one of our best players. And United don't think he's good enough. Well, you should have not signed him then. And I think that's probably biting Man United hard on the bum cheeks now. And I think for me, that is a decision that United are living to regret. But that's Manchester United for you. They are making the same old bloody mistakes. And I think for me, that ain't good enough. Like, I rate Amrabat really highly. And the way he's being treated by Manchester United when they're apparently not going to sign him permanently in the summer, and they're on about sending him back in January also. So it just makes utterly no sense. But I would start Amrabat with Manu and Fernandes and see if that's a lot more balanced than what it was with McTominay, Amrabat and Fernandes. So that's another big decision for Ten Hag to make. But that is what I would do. I think the front three is going to be interesting again on Saturday as well, because obviously you will have Marcus Rashford available from suspension. Obviously, he picked up a red card against Copenhagen on match day 4 of the Champions League group stage. Picked up a straight red card, and obviously couldn't play Wednesday because he was suspended. So again, you're going to have Marcus Rashford available, but would you pick Rashford? Is another big talking point, because I think United look a lot better without him. I honestly think Manchester United are a lot better team without Marcus Rashford. I think that front three were very good on Wednesday. Like, there was experience, there was pace, there was a free-flowing attacking flair football, there was a lot more rhythm to the play, there was a lot more threat on goal. And I think, that goal Garnacho scored against Everton, again, scored an absolute peach again on Wednesday. Like, he seems to be up on another level, which is a fantastic momentum for the Argentinian at the moment. I think Garnacho is returning back to his best again, and that is exactly what you want from a Manchester United player of that quality, to be able to deliver goals at the moment. I think obviously Rasmus is only just come back from injury. Obviously didn't have his best game on Wednesday, but he's only coming back from a hamstring injury, so I don't think he wanted to over push himself and overgo the limit where he causes injury again, because once you pull your hamstring, you're more likely to pull it again. So I think that is why obviously Rasmus Højlund was taken off Wednesday night, because obviously I think Ten Hag worried that if he pulled his hamstring again, it would be out injured for even more time. So I think that is why obviously Martial came on in the second half for Rasmus Højlund. So for me, I would be sticking with Garnacho and Højlund on the left and the right. And I think, again, welcome back to Manchester United, Anthony. I think, again, on Wednesday, that was, for me, one of Anthony's best performances. Obviously, the allegations, what's been going on, and the accusations he's facing back in his hometown in Brazil hasn't helped him. I think let's all be honest about that Anthony, everything he's got going on in his personal life, everything he's got going on behind the scenes beyond football, when he came back, when Ten Hag put him back in, clearly he wasn't ready. But Wednesday night, I was like, where has this Anthony been? He was probably, again, a very, very good performance. He was creating chances, his pace, and he was even getting inside the box. So we don't normally see that. We normally see him cutting inside or shooting from outside the box, and he's making shots at the wrong time in the most important phases of the game. I think Anthony was brilliant. I've not seen that for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. Where has this Anthony been? I don't know where it's been, but on Wednesday, again, I was like, welcome back to the fold, because you played extremely well Wednesday. And I was very impressed with his attitude. I was very impressed with his commitment, because if you're trying to get inside the box now against Galatasaray, you could see the weakness in that Galatasaray back four, and Anthony was going past them like they weren't even there. And I think for me, that was extremely important for Manchester United to be able to create the chances they did. You're not seeing Anthony shoot outside the box as much. You're seeing him create more chances to try and get inside the box, which you don't see from this Man United side. You have not seen this from Anthony for weeks. And I thought, do you know what? Fair play to him. Let's see if he can keep it up, because I do highly rate Anthony. I do believe, again, he's one of Manchester United's very good best players. And I think for me on his day, Anthony will cause you problems. And I think for me, Wednesday, Galatasaray will worried by Anthony's threat. And it was a clinical away performance. Like, we did play some very good football, very good important stages of the game, but it was a shame we couldn't hold on. So I think for me, that is my team for Saturday. It's Onana in goal. I think it will be Wan-Bissaka, because I thought, it was a lot more defensively better than Diego Dalot. When Dalot came on, had one chance on goal that he should have scored, he didn't take. Obviously, I think Ten Hag will stick with Varane and Maguire and Lindelof, unfortunately, but I would potentially go Lindelof and Varane instead. Luke Shaw, probably will keep his place. I didn't think he played well Wednesday. I thought he was bang average at very best for United going forward. Midfield, I would like to see Amrabat, Kobe, Manu and Fernandes and drop McTominay to the bench. For me, that is what I would do. And I think the front three, Garnacho, Højlund and Anthony. I think, if you take McTominay out that team, if you take Maguire and Lindelof out that team, if you take Rashford out that team, if you take Dalot out that team, I think Man United are a lot better. And I've been saying this for a very, very long time. There's a lot of players at this club that have been given more than an opportunity to prove themselves. Obviously, for me, these players need to be called out. That you've got no futures now at this football club. And I think for me, some of their performances on Wednesday were not good enough. And I think this is why Man United did not control the game. And I think this is why we conceded the goals we conceded, because defensively, we're all over the shop. And I think we are, like I said, conceding too many goals. And when you're conceding 33 goals this season, there's clearly problems defensively for Man United, not just for the goalkeeping position, but the back four. In the midfield, there's still a lack of balance. So I think for me, I would try what I said I would try. I would go Kobe, Manu, Amrabat and Fernandes. If that doesn't work, maybe bring off Manu in the second half and put McTominay on, because you've only otherwise got McTominay available. And like I said, we've got a lot of injuries. We need Mount, we need Eriksen, we need Casemiro, we need Varane back in, we need Martinez back in. Rashford will probably, like I said, Rashford will be back for Saturday as well. But I think, like I said, if offers came in for McTominay, Dalot, Varane, Maguire, Lindelof and Rashford, I'd take it now, because I think for me, Man United played very well without Rashford Wednesday. I thought we played magnificently without Dalot in the team. I just don't think McTominay is the right answer in the midfield. I know Ten Hag is still going to stick by the team he thinks is best, but I would just make a few little changes and try and tweak things a little bit to see if that makes more of a difference. But it wouldn't surprise me if we saw the team we saw Wednesday. Obviously, I'm not the manager. I don't pick the team, but I've got to back what Ten Hag does. And I'm hoping United win. If we're going to go for a prediction, what I think will happen, I'm going to go for 2-0 Man United. If we can get a goal in the first half and try and kill them off in the second half with a second goal, the momentum will be there for Man United to park the bus, hold on till 90th minute, scrape by and win the game. But I know Newcastle are going to come at Man United. I know they've got good players. I know they play good attacking football. I know the threat of that Newcastle team. And they should have won Tuesday night against PSG. They were robbed. There's no doubt about that. That PSG robbed Newcastle of a very deserved win. It wasn't a handball. No way was it a handball. VAR and the referee have got that decision massively wrong. And I think Newcastle want to put that right Saturday. So I think Newcastle will give us a game. But I'm feeling, after what I've seen from the last two games from Manchester United now, we're scoring goals. These players are back to their best and we will beat Newcastle. But let's see what happens. So I hope you enjoyed the preview. Hit the like button, the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video, hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button, and remember to put that notification bell on as well at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the last few remaining weeks and the last few remaining days this year in 2023 on this channel. We've got more Fortnite coming up, more Rocket League, more F1 23, more Fall Guys, more EA Sports FC 24 career mode with Manchester United, more previews, more match reactions, and we've got exclusive bonus Christmas content coming up on the channel as well. this year, something we've not done before, but we're going to be doing some Christmas content this year as well, so look out for that. And obviously then please join me for the match reaction to Saturday night, which hopefully is a Man United win. Hopefully we can keep this form up in the Premier League we're currently on. Hopefully we can make it 6 wins in 7 Premier League games. Hopefully we're still in a top 4 race, and maybe Man United are still in the Premier League title race. But let's see what happens. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Friday evening. Stay safe. Be nice. Be kind to each other. You're all legends. You're all edgy. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.